Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next section of the January 31st presentation. So in this part of the presentation, I'm going to show you how I actually created these MPD lines. This is not like a standard indicator you just plop on the chart. It's actually got to be sort of coded in a way. Now, I'm going to use the term coding very loosely because there's actually no coding at all. But there is the use of these arithmetic studies that Sierra makes available that is required to do something like this, but it also has a ton of other applications that you might find really useful. So what I'm basically going to explain is how to use some of these arithmetic studies to create an end result like what we have here on the chart right now. So on the right-hand side is the same chart as the left-hand side, except we haven't yet built these lines. All right. Also, you'll notice that the high, the mid, and the low are here. Those are actually also on the chart on the left. They're just hidden. I'm going to make them visible here so we can actually see what they look like. Okay, so we can see they're the same. And again, what we're basically doing is we're trying to create an output that yields the data we need to create these MPD lines. All right, so what's basically happening is we're using some of the existing studies, like the daily open, high, low, close study, which has the high and the low here, to subtract one from the other, which yields the range, which is shown down here at the bottom of the screen. And then we've actually took that number and divided it by 2, which gives us this value. And that's what allows us to add to the VWAP to generate that upper MPD. So if you were to take 1495 and you were going to add 9.2, that's how you get this upper value up here, which is off by 100th of a number here, but that's okay, 1/100th. And if you were to take that VWAP and subtract this value, that's how you get this lower MPD down here. All right, so let me show you how this is done. So what we first did was on the right-hand side, I added the daily open, high, low, close study. Okay, the daily OHLC study. What I did is I renamed it current, high, and low just for my own sake. That's something that can be done to any study right here in this short name section. So if I didn't have anything in here, it would just say daily OHLC. But because I have sometimes a lot of studies on the chart, sometimes I have more than one of the same study except with different parameters, a lot of times I will like to rename them like this. So I added that, and in the Subgraphs tab, I actually hid the open and the close. So all I've got is the high and the low. All right, the high and the low. And that's this value here and this value here. Now, what we're going to basically do is we're going to subtract the low from the high, which is going to yield the day's range. And the way that we're going to do that is by using a study that's called study subgraphs subtract / difference. So I'm going to add that first to the chart like this. And in the settings section, it's going to give us some color options. We'll get to that in a second. You just put in the inputs. So the input number 1 is going to be the high. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to look for the study that contains the high, which is the current high-low right here. All right, again, this would say daily OHLC if you didn't put your own name in. And then I'm going to choose the high, like that. And then I'm going to go to input study number 2, go find the study that has the low in it, click on it, select the low from the list like this. All right, and then just push apply. And boom, you can see down here, we've got the line. It doesn't really tell us much yet, but we can clean it up a little bit. Here's how we would do that. And that's all going to be done in subgraphs. Just like you were changing the color of a moving average or MACD or anything, that's all done in the subgraphs tab. Let's go ahead and make the color that blue color. I'll thicken up the line a little bit. Check the value label. If we have the value label checked, that means that we're going to see the value of the result in the y-axis like you would see the prices. And then for the short name, this is just your ability to create your own custom name and label for the line, which as you can see down here, I did high minus low. So I could do HI minus LO. And if I want to see that label, I can also check this name label option right here. So if I just push apply, you can see now that's going to be visible. Now, because of the scaling, it's just a flat line. I'll actually end up moving it down a little bit once we put another line in here. But we at least have the value that we were looking for, which is the range of the day. Okay, the Russell has an 18.4 point range. All right, now, how do we get this to divide by 2 and then add to the VWAP to create those lines? Well, if we just right click and go to studies, there's another arithmetic study down here that's called study subgraph divide. So we're going to add that over. And in the input, we are going to pick the study subgraph difference study that we just made. So this difference study is what gave us that result down there of 18.4. So we're going to base this division on that study. You can see it's right here, and then divide it by 2, like that. And let's give it some of the similar look and feel. So we'll go to blue, do the name label, value label, and I'll just do the same label I did before, high divided by low, all divided by 2, like that, and push apply. Now what you'll notice is it goes into another region below because the chart thinks that we want this to be a totally separate study. You may have noticed this before, but in settings and inputs, you can actually control the region where it's going to go. So region 1 would be the main price graph. Region 2 is the area below that. Region 3 is below that, and so forth. These are okay to put them all in the same region. I'll just choose region number 2 and push apply, and now we've got it here as well. Now, one thing that is kind of unique about this is that these values are significantly different from each other. So we might want to make one of them sort of independent. So it's going to look something like this. We could actually make the line a little thicker too if we want them to be really the same. Subgraphs, make the width of the line just a bit thicker. You can see now we got that. So we've got the high and the low. We've got the high and the low divided by 2. And what we can do now is just create another instance of the same division and do it divided by 4 because we're going to be using that to create those mid-level MPDs, the 0.5 MPDs we were talking about. So I'll just duplicate the existing study, duplicate right here. And then in this time, for this input, we're going to do a divider of 4. And then we can change the label to high-low divided by, high-low 2 divided by 4. And then apply, and there's our 4 level. Okay, so this is exactly how I got these values. Notice the values are identical. One of the things you can do in Sierra is you can add, subtract, you can do absolute value, you can do all kinds of different arithmetic-based studies created from inputs of other studies. So you will find that there are other applications to this. This is kind of what we were getting at when we're always saying to people that there's a lot of stuff you can do in Sierra without actually programming anything. Okay, we haven't done any programming here. We're just kind of filling in the blanks. All right. Now, let's take it to the next level and let's go ahead and build those MPD bands. All right, here's how we're going to do that. So now we're going to need to add this value to the VWAP. Okay, we need to add this half value, 9.2, to the VWAP. So I'm going to right-click, go to Studies, and we're going to be looking for a study here that's called Study Subgraphs Add, right here, Study Subgraphs Add. So I'll go ahead and add that, and just like the other ones, all we have to do is pick the inputs. So we just need to add the VWAP to that Study Subgraph difference, or divide rather. So we'll go to the inputs here. What's the first input study? Let's pick the easy one first, the VWAP. Okay, that's simple. So that's our first input. The second one is going to be the study subgraph divide. It's going to be the first one we did. This is the one that we did divided by 2. High, low, 2, this high minus low divided by 2. There should be a division sign in there, but that's okay. So we're going to use that input. And this one we're actually going to put in region 1 because we actually want this to be in the main price graph. So what this is going to yield is the VWAP plus the result of this line right here. So I'll go to subgraphs and we can again make this look sort of the way we want. I'll do a dash line so it stands out a little bit, increase the width, put the value label on, and there's our upper line. That's our upper MPD. Notice the value is exactly the same as the one I was showing before. If we want to do a name label, we could just do MPD like that. There it is. Okay. Now, again, one of the beauties of this program is a lot of times you just duplicate this and change something. Okay, so I'll just duplicate the study just by clicking duplicate like that. And then this time, instead of using the study subgraph divide that was the first one we did, which is the divided by 2, we could do the one that divides by 4, which is this one. And then all we really need to do is change the label. Actually, we really don't, yeah, we could just do 0.5 MPD for this one like we did on the other chart. Push apply. There's our 0.5 level. Notice the value, again, identical to the chart on the left. All right. Now what we need to do is create those lower lines. Okay, so we're going to create the lower lines next. So what we need to do in this case is we need to take the VWAP and we have to subtract the same values to create the lower MPDs. So in this case, what we're going to do is take a study subgraphs subtract difference, just like we did originally, to create that entire day's range. Add it, and let's locate the VWAP, and then let's locate that high-low divided by 2. So where's the VWAP first? And then the next one's going to be that high-low divided by 2, which was the first division we picked. And then I'll just do the same sort of maroon color scheme here, dash line, and apply it. Now this, I accidentally put this down here in region 3, so I can correct that by going to the chart region and choose region 1, and there's our lower MPD. Make that just a tad thicker. And if we again want to put a name on it, just like that with the name label and the short name, push apply, and there it is. All right, and then again, to get that mid-level, let's just duplicate the study we just did. Duplicate, settings. We're going to call this one 0.5 MPD. And then in settings and inputs, we're going to keep the VWAP in the first input. And in the second input, we're going to choose the second study subgraph divide, which is the one that we did divided by 4 to create that midline between the VWAP and the lower MPD. So I'll just leave that in region 1, push apply, and there it is. So, you know, that there's a lot of steps to that, but it's very logical. You just have to think through it a little bit and realize that Sierra has these capabilities. And if you can outline or, you know, type out or logistic, you know, speak, you know, in English and say, okay, here's what I want to happen, more than likely there's a way for you to do it in Sierra without having to hire a programmer. If what you're trying to do is very subjective, like say something like, I really would like to have a support line here. Well, you have to define how is a support line calculated? What does that actually mean? Does it just mean it looks like support? That's something that might require a little bit of development work. But there's a lot of stuff that you can incorporate that you probably are already incorporating that is actually just very factual. The condition either is there or it's not there. And if that's, you know, the case for you, then you might find that this program is quite powerful and can do pretty much everything that you need it to do. Now, where we build from here, the first thing I would probably do is hide this stuff down at the bottom. We don't need to see this. Okay, I don't really care what the range is. I only care what the range is for the sake of calculating the MPDs. So in the studies section, this would be a good time to hide all this stuff. I'd probably keep the high and the low up there, but you could just check these one by one like this. And all of these will still be there. They'll all still be in region 2, but region 2 is going to be hidden as a result. All right. Oh, you know what? I really should have kept some of these, shouldn't I have? Yep. We would actually want to keep the MPD lines. That was pretty silly of me. That would be these here. So we've got our MPD lines. We've just hid the stuff at the bottom of the chart that we don't need. So hopefully you find this useful. I know it's not the most exciting topic, but I did want to show some of how we created the guts of this idea. So please watch the next video. Hope you enjoyed it, and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.